It's a Wednesday show. It's nothing but fun / anger. No, I'm not angry at all. I'm not angry at all. Whether the stories make me angry, that's a different question. Obviously, we make a lot of big ones and we make a lot of little ones in the first hour. I love Fred Kaplan's recap of the Republican debate and their foreign policy. We're going to get to that probably in the first segment, so don't you worry about a thing. We're almost there. Okay. Now, I'm going to be fair to Fox in the first hour. I'm going to defend them a little bit. Okay. Is someone going to get shot accidentally by a gun safety instructor? Of course they are. It's America. Okay. Maybe. And then in the second hour, this is a story we got to get to. Oh, yeah, here it goes again. What is going on with this collar here now? Okay.
I think that you are ready to move back to Miami, perhaps in the 80s.
How you doing?
And just pop it out there.
It keeps popping out, God. Right,
it can't be contained. Your collar is too strong.
That might be true, and I might also have to change jackets at some point. Okay, anyways, I was talking about before we got on that I'm Tommy Boy. I don't fit into my jackets anymore. Okay, all right, here we go.
That makes me David Spade.
Well, you've been worse.
It's funny, I like it.
You've been worse, Johnny.
That's true.
Okay, all right. So, if you notice, I've been refraining the last couple of days.
I appreciate that very much.
Okay. Sam's Club, are they racist? We will judge. The answer... I'll tell you, this is going to be the worst tease in America, because I'm going to tell you already. No. Okay. But you'll find out what we mean by that in the second hour. Yeah. All right. Big showhead. Yes.
We're going to need it really fast. So you said you're going to defend Fox News. I just, in final judgment, defended Hugh Hewitt, who, I don't think we gave enough credit. His nuclear triad question to Donald Trump was perfect, because it was another one of his, you don't know the answer to this, you moron. What's the nuclear triad? Tell me what it is. He didn't know. He doesn't get enough credit. He's terrible. He's terrible. He doesn't deserve to be there. But if he's going to be there, I love that he's doing what he's doing.
No. Look, you got to give it up to Hugh Hewitt. I'm sure that if we got into the debate, which, by the way, we should. I should have Hugh Hewitt on our show so you can actually get real exposure outside of debates, because his own show.
I mean,
come on.
He has a show.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Anyway. But no. But you have to give the guy credit. I mean, he does know the policies.
Yeah, he's an obviously smart guy.
And I think he knows them better than the CNN guys. And I think the questions are he's allowed to be ballsier because he's a conservative.
Yeah.
Right? And he is. So I'm right there with you on your final judgment.
And he can't help but look good when, like, the senior person there is Wolf Blitzer, who's like, okay, we got to go to commercial. When we come back, which do these candidates, which do they think should be the president? That was his actual tease. Yeah. Twice he gave that tease.
I think Anna's done better teases. And then that just happened. All right, come back. All right.
Okay.
All right. Big show. One last thing. Crimmit. It's Crimmit time, right? So give the gift of democracy. wolf-pack.com/New Year. Okay? New Year. So what we're trying to do is get 500 members so we can hire Deadwood, Diesel, and the Liberati to liberate democracy.
I don't know what those are, but those sound awesome.
Exactly.
Are those characters in the next Mad Max?
They're the characters in the next Wolfpack Cavalry. That's what's happening.
Damn.
wolf-pack.com/New Year. Become a member. That's the least you can do.
Nice.
Next.
Yes.
/first.
First. Last night, under the cover of the GOP debate, we had a bipartisan budget deal. Now, it's going to, of course, go to Obama. There's going to be some debate in both chambers about it, but it's pretty interesting. The Democrats got a little bit, the Republicans got a little bit. Paul Ryan seems very excited with himself, which you're going to see in this clip.
This week, we have completed 2 bipartisan agreements that advance Republican priorities. First, we are lifting the government's 40-year-old ban on crude oil exports. This is a big win for American jobs and for our energy industry. It's a big win for our manufacturers and for our foreign policy. We are increasing military spending. We are tightening security requirements under the nation's visa waiver program. We are freezing most IRS operations and stopping the IRS from suppressing civic participation in 501c4 organizations. We are maintaining all of our pro-life protections, including the Hyde Amendments, and we are making cuts to the UNFPA program. In addition to all of that, we are ending Washington's days of extending tax policies 1 year at a time. I cannot tell you how many times I have visited with small businesses and farmers who tell me, give me some certainty in the tax code and I can go create jobs.
Okay. I love the certainty, the confidence.
Yeah.
I desperately need help. I could sell so much more, but like 3 years from now, where will the taxes be?
Yeah. So nonsense phrases like certainty. So I'm a business owner. Young Turks is an LLC. We employ about 60 people. Okay, I've never once had a conversation in a management meeting team where we're like, we have so much uncertainty. We don't know what the taxes are going to be 2 years from now. Maybe we should stop doing business.
Yeah.
Let's stop doing videos because I'm so uncertain what a minuscule change in the tax rate is going to be a couple of years from now.
Yeah.
Nonsense. All of this, and then hashtag confident America. Because America can only be confident if the rich get further tax cuts.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm feeling so insecure. Where are my tax cuts?
I don't want to be richer.
Right. So understand what they just did here. That was actually, he almost couldn't hide it. So he explained all the giveaways that they got for their side, the Republican side. Almost none of it was for Republican voters.
Yeah.
He said, we're protecting the energy industry. That's true. He said, we're protecting manufacturers, in other words, giant corporations. That's true. He said, for people who'd like to do their civic duty, we made sure the IRS won't investigate the 501c4s. Civic duty. 501c4s are things that are disguised as general welfare programs, but in fact do massive billions of dollars in giveaways to politicians. Yeah. So those are the rich that buy the politicians. That was their top priority, so that money would keep flowing and the IRS wouldn't investigate to see if they were actually social welfare programs or actually political bribery programs. Yeah. Number one priority, still nothing to the voters. And finally, he said, we made sure, of course, that our taxes have more certainty. Another giveaway to the rich and to the corporations. That's who the Republicans represent. Get it through your head. Yeah. They don't represent you at all. They just came out and bragged in a press conference about how they got goodies for their rich friends, giant corporations, and the people they actually represent, the people that are bribing them.
Yeah. Well, what about the millions of regular, everyday farmers who own corporations that sell medical equipment?
Small farmers.
What about those?
Yeah, good luck trying to find a small farmer. They're giant farming corporations now.
Yeah. He can definitely sell that I visit farms line better now that he has his big boy beard, though. But yeah, there was a lot to love in that. So he's talking. We're gonna get to the gas exporting. Obviously, we raised military spending. Give me 5 words about why we needed to. Nobody knows.
ISIS, we need to bomb them more. But wait, we already dropped 9,000 bombs on them. Yeah. We need 10,000. 10,000. Slash the defense contractor in all of our districts gives us a ton of campaign donations.
Yeah, and also we've been criticized for extending the taxes a year at a time. Like, no, the regular, I don't even agree with them really, but the regular conservative voters are probably a little bit concerned, or at least they say they're concerned about the deficit and long-term the national debt. And when you extend these year by year, you're hurting the national debt. You're expanding the national debt. So all you're doing now is, from now on, for a really long time, and we're going to go into how much some of these changes are going to add to the national debt, but there's a ton of, one of my favorite lines in that, by the way, was, so they had to strip a bunch of the riders out, which is a good thing. Their riders were absolutely dreadful. He talked about the IRS thing. From what I've read, the rider that they wanted to stop the IRS from investigating these groups was actually stripped out, and yet he's declaring victory. He said so they wanted something to destroy Planned Parenthood. It got stripped out. So he said we've maintained our anti-abortion legislation, like the Hyde Amendment. Who was trying to get rid of the Hyde Amendment?
Nobody.
You maintain stuff that nobody was trying to get rid of.
The Hyde Amendment has been around for decades, and what it says is that federal money cannot go towards abortion. Right?
Yeah, nobody was going to kill that.
And that's not under challenge, etc. Now, look, that's good news because that means they lost on that issue. Yeah. And he's trying to cover it up because all the conservative talk show hosts are about to yell at him.
Yes.
Okay, why didn't you make abortion illegal? Because I'm not the Supreme Court. I don't have the power to do that. I don't care. I want your victory anyway.
And there's a lot here that I think a lot of the conservatives, especially the radio hosts, like Limbaugh is not going to like any bit of this. One, that there was almost no open discussion about some of these last-minute changes to the deal before they announced it. They announced it during a debate to lower the chances that anyone would be paying attention during it. And they knew that that would then overwhelm the news coverage. Like most places, they're not going to start with budget deal talk. They're going to be talking about Trump's latest rally or whatever. They added at least $700 billion to the national debt just in this deal for the next year. And we're looking at the potential making permanent of some tax cuts that could add trillions and trillions of dollars over the next decade. We're going to talk about a few of them. So some of there were a number of taxes, some of them good, some of them bad, tax cuts, I should say, that they made either permanent or delayed the elimination of. And I always love when they put these sunset provisions in, that it's going to last a year or two. They never go away. They never go away.
Somehow the sun never sets on the Republican empire.
Exactly, yeah. Once you get that tax cut, you're going to have it forever. But so 3 of the major Obamacare taxes that they have either delayed the implementation of or have eliminated them is the medical device tax, which I joked about earlier, which is something like a 2.3% sales tax on the selling of medical devices. The Cadillac tax, which is a 40% tax
on Cadillacs. No.
On Cadillacs, which seems unfair. Seems really unfair. No, on particularly expensive health plans. So if for an individual your health plan costs more than something like $10,400 a year, anything above that there's a 40% tax on. They've postponed that. And there's an insurer tax as well. Now, they don't like any of those things. A lot of Democrats don't like those taxes that were going to be there. But it's not inconsequential that you eliminate it. So if we could bring up, if we could jump ahead to graphic 3, you're going to see a chart here of the repeal of health taxes costing $1.1 trillion over 20 years. So you're seeing there what a 2-year delay will cost. Just 2 years is going to cost us $40 billion. And keep that number in mind when we were talking about how we desperately needed to cut food stamps by $10 billion less than a year ago. If they repeal it permanently, we're talking about over $1 trillion lost from just not having those taxes. And they've been criticizing Obamacare for years now as being too expensive, when in fact, Obamacare is slated to actually save us something like $3.5 trillion over a certain time span. They've just eliminated potentially a third of that. Casually, no discussion.
Now, why would you get rid of taxes on the most expensive health care plans? In order to protect the people who would get the most expensive health care plans. And who would that be? The very rich.
Yes.
Now, look, here's the thing. I wish that we could have health care that was more affordable for everybody, including the rich. Yeah. I desperately want that. That's not the system we live in. Now, when they say we don't have money, though, as John pointed out, whether it's food stamps, education, anything, that is not remotely true. We make choices in these bills every single year. So the choice we made here is, no, I don't really want more food stamps. I really don't want more education for your kids. So when Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton say, hey, maybe we should do free education if you make it into a state college, they go, nah, we don't have the money for that. Why? Because they have to save the money for the very rich to get the very best health care without paying more taxes.
Yeah.
So, look, I want them to get the best health care. But the reason it's called the Cadillac plan is because they can actually afford it.
Yeah.
And then that winds up getting more money for our budget, which then leads to hopefully more opportunity for more Americans. And the Republicans just killed that and said, no, we'd rather protect the rich.
Yeah.
Which is Republican 101. They do press conferences to brag about that.
Yeah.
They're not hiding it. They're saying, yay, we're for the rich.
I do think, though, that we could probably balance it out if we just have Social Security kick in when you're 93.
You see,
I think that we could probably balance it out.
The Social Security we have now, John, we can't afford it.
No, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. Not at all. Yeah. And there's so I want to combine two of the so the Cadillac tax and the opening up the gas exports, which, look, I'm honestly not even sure if we should have had the continued ban on the exporting of just crude oil. Remember, we can still export gasoline. We just have to have it refined here and then we export it. They're now going to be able to export crude oil. The point of that, supposedly, when they started it back in the 70s, was to lower the cost of gasoline domestically. So they talk about how it's going to add more jobs, and it might add more jobs, being able to sell the crude oil overseas, but it will probably result in gas prices going up a little bit, which is not going to be a huge deal to the absolutely richest, but for regular Americans who have been enjoying lower-cost gas recently, they're going to be paying more for that. This Cadillac tax is not just a middle finger to the richest people in the country. The point of it was not to gather money from taxing these plans, but to get employers who are not offering cheaper plans to take away the more expensive ones and instead offer cheaper ones, which when you, if you're a relatively poor or middle class employee and the only option are these really expensive ones, would have effectively been a pay increase for you if they instead offered more affordable alternatives. Delaying the Cadillac tax takes away that pressure for employers and is effectively less money now in the pockets of poorer Americans. There's a lot of other stuff. They didn't actually get their refugee thing, which is nice. So the law is changing in some ways, but they didn't get all that they wanted in terms of blocking Syrian refugees from coming in, even though he declared victory in that video that we showed you. And there is apparently a form of the Cyber Security Information Sharing Act that has been added in at the last minute. Information on that is still a bit sketchy, so we're going to give you more information when we have it. But it does look like they got something in there knowing that it would be more difficult for Obama to veto it since he needs the entire deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what it was? It was a compromise. And so they got a lot of the tax breaks that they wanted. They didn't get some of the more draconian things they wanted on abortion and refugees. And by the way, that pretty much describes the whole state of Washington, the state of the capital, okay, Washington, D.C. And that's what's been happening for decades. So Republicans say, we'll rip people's hearts out and show it to them. And Democrats go, no, okay, fine. Don't be so draconian. I'll give you all the tax cuts you want.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's Washington, D.C. 101. That's what happened here again. And what will happen is progressives will largely celebrate because it could have been worse, right? That's what they always say. And Republicans, conservatives will be livid, will yell and scream at their own Republicans, let alone the Democrats, and then drive them further and further to the right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch over the next couple of days the reaction from the right, because we were covering when Ryan was being offered as the potential speaker and they had other options. They made clear that what they wanted, the Tea Party and the hardcore right, is they wanted someone who was going to compromise with Democrats. So I have a feeling this is going to be very well received by them. This is exactly what they hated about John Boehner, and they just got more of it, which is delicious from our side of the aisle. Okay, so let's turn to the debates from last night. We can't let last night's debate pass without focusing a little bit more on what would have been insane times, headline news for weeks. And that was that most of the candidates, the GOP candidates at last night's debate, agree that we should target and kill the families of terrorists. And those who won't go that far at least say the concern about killing civilians, that's from a different time. We need to not worry about that. We need to be tough. We need to be hard with them. You're going to see that. We've got videos from a couple of the different candidates. We're going to start with Donald Trump.
I'm Josh Jacob from Georgia Tech. Recently, Donald Trump mentioned that we must kill the families of ISIS members. However, this violates the principle of distinction between civilians and combatants in international law. So my question is, how would intentionally killing innocent civilians set us apart from ISIS?
Mr. Trump, we have to be much tougher. We have to be much stronger than we've been. We have people that know what's going on. You take a look at just the attack in California the other day. There were numerous people, including the mother, that knew what was going on. They saw pipe bombs sitting all over the floor. They saw ammunition all over the place. They knew exactly what was going on. I would be very, very firm with families. And frankly, that will make people think, because they may not care much about their lives, but they do care, believe it or not, about their families' lives.
That got applause. That's unbelievable.
Applause.
So let's break that down. First, I will be very firm with their families, meaning
firm.
You'll kill them.
Not man enough to say it.
Yeah, that's what you said earlier. That's what the student asked you about. You said you would kill their families. So that's a new term. I'm going to be very firm, kill you. So then the next question that obviously arises is the mom knew. By the way, he doesn't know that at all.
No.
Okay, investigators are looking into exactly who knew and didn't know about the San Bernardino shooting. There was a neighbor apparently that bought some of the weapons for them, so that they should investigate that. But the investigators have said nothing about the mom knowing anything.
Yeah.
Trump made that up. But according to his plan, then he should execute her. Are you going to kill that mom in San Bernardino? Answer the question, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be very, very tough. What does that mean, very tough? So and that line there, they may not care much about their lives, but they do care, believe it or not, about their families' lives. Yeah, that's what mobsters say.
Yeah.
You know, but like the worst kind of mobsters, the worst kind of drug gangs be like, hey, you know what? We're not going to just kill you. We're going to kill your family members.
Yeah.
That's what Pablo Escobar says. That's what Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi says.
Yeah.
So now you sink to his level and you get wild applause from the Republican base.
Yeah.
According to online polling focus groups, Donald Trump won that debate by saying horrendous, horrific things like that.
Yeah, and look, Hugh Hewitt at least asked some follow-up questions, trying to have them be clear. I mean, you're going to see that when we go to Carson. But he wasn't even willing to say there, we'll kill them. No, we'll be tough. We'll be strong. Stop being a wuss. Say what you're going to do. They love to say, we can't possibly defeat ISIS because Obama won't say radical, deadly Islamic radioactive terrorism. He won't say the term, so we can't win. You're saying you're going to be strong, but you can't even say you're going to bomb and kill these families. So why don't you listen to your own points there? Look, they had the follow-up question of where he said, so they get to kill us and we can't kill them? Missing the point that it's the terrorists that kill us, not the terrorist families. And he's there saying he's frustrated that we don't get to act exactly like terrorists.
Now,
why should we be chastised in any way for wanting to kill innocents? And that was a demonstration when you heard the clapping there. We talked, I believe, on the show yesterday that for all that people love to say that there's something about Islam that makes you fine with jihad and fine with killing innocents. We had the polls, international polls, showing that about 50% of Americans think that the killing of civilians is justified, and the average in the Middle East and North Africa is 14%. And you saw in that audience it might have been more than 50%. Apparently something about being a right-wing Christian means that you think it's okay to kill civilians.
So I need to clarify two things here before we get to the other candidates. Number one, in that poll that John's talking about, it's a Gallup poll, it was not collateral damage. They didn't ask about that. They said the intentional killing and targeting of civilians. And in this case, that's exactly what Donald Trump's talking about. He's not saying, oh, well, if we happen to kill their families accidentally, well, that'd be a shame, but we were trying to get the terrorists.
Yeah.
He's saying, no, we should target their families because they might care about their families even if they don't care about their own lives. He says to target them. Now, which 50% of the country you think might be in favor of that? Could it be that it might be more heavily weighted towards Republicans who are like, yes, target and kill civilians, the goddamn terrorists. Speaking of which, that's the second point. They keep saying, let's kill the terrorist families. But when we drop a bomb from the sky in the middle of Syria, are we positive that the person down there is a terrorist and that the family that we're killing is a terrorist family? Or are we just sure that there are terrorists somewhere in Syria and we got some sort of signal intelligence telling us there's a cell phone or a weapon somewhere down there? When they say kill the terrorist families, they just mean let's kill the families down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you know exactly where the terrorists are, we could kill just the terrorists and be done with it.
Yeah.
You don't know where they are. You mean kill random families in the area.
Yeah. I love that the party of family values has become the party of let's use the fact that they value their family to kill their family.
As we continue through this, just think about, first off, yes, with terrorist families, there's that thing, but think about how many people we kill here in our own country, wrongfully, death row, all that stuff. So imagine another country randomly going after people's families, suspected terrorist families. So we already know that's not happening the way they say. But number two, remember the gang murder in Chicago of that kid because he was a suspected gang member's kid? Oh, they outraged because it was Chicago. These ruthless, savage black people. Look at these gang members, these gangsters killing an innocent child. Well, that's what you're doing. You're just like these.
And you're bragging about it. You're
just like these guys, and you're talking about how badass you are. Do you think these gang members are badasses for killing this 9-year-old kid? But that's the same guy.
That's what killing their families means.
Yeah.
So now Ben Carson's going to try to put a spin on it like he's helping them. This reminds me of the line from Vietnam. We had to raise the village in order to save the village. No, that means you destroyed the village and didn't save anybody in it. Yeah. So here's a ridiculous analogy.
Could you order airstrikes that would kill innocent children by not the scores, but the hundreds and the thousands? Could you wage war as a commander-in-chief?
Well, interestingly enough, you should see the eyes of some of those children when I say to them, we're going to have to open your head up and take out this tumor. They're not happy about it, believe me. And they don't like me very much at that point. But later on, they love me. You know, they really realize what's going on. And by the same token, you have to be able to look at the big picture and understand that it's actually merciful if you go ahead and finish the job rather than death by 1,000 pricks.
So you are okay with the deaths of thousands of innocent children and civilians? It's like...
You got it. You got it.
That is what war... Can you be as ruthless as Churchill was in prosecuting the war against the Nazis?
Ruthless is not necessarily the word I would use, but tough.
I love that. Ruthless is not the word I would use because it would make me look really bad right now.
So instead, I'll use the nonsense word we use when we say, yes, I would kill your children.
Yeah.
I'm going to be tough.
Yeah.
Well, he asked you a specific question, and Churchill did do that. They firebombed Dresden, firebombed Tokyo, right? We did, Churchill did, and we killed a lot of family members. So that's a very challenging question. It's a fair question. And here he's saying, well, I don't want to kill him with 1,000 pricks, apparently referring to the Republican Party. He said, I'm just going to, take it out completely. But you see, the tumor analogy doesn't work, because when you take out the tumor entirely, even though there's pain in that process, you save the kid. But when you say, yes, I would do this bombing to kill the civilians down there, you're not saving them, you're killing them.
Yeah. And
that analogy does not work at all.
And if the analogy was accurate, then in the way that we would assault the whole body, you'd have a significant risk of turning all sorts of other cells into terrorists or cancer or something. Yeah, the analogy falls apart. And I love the booing there. Hugh Hewitt was totally right. So you're okay with it then. Boo! They're not booing the killing of thousands of children. They're like, don't make him say that. I just want him to do it.
Yeah, we're all in favor of it, but you don't embarrass us on national TV by pointing out what barbarians we are. Boo, liberal media. Hugh Hewitt is the conservative on the panel.
Yeah.
The Republicans asked him to be on the panel because he's conservative.
He wasn't being remotely unfair there. He was 100% right. It was difficult to tell at some points because Ben Carson is a rambling fool, and God knows why he decided to start talking about... I scare the shit out of kids before surgery for no reason. I know that they don't choose what I do to them, but I'm going to tell them about it.
Yeah, look, I don't want to kill you with 1,000 pricks, civilians in Syria. I'm just going to drop bombs on you and kill you at once. And then, how's that going to help me? Well, it might help you down the road if I also happen to kill terrorists. I mean, we've been dropping 9,000 bombs anyway, and apparently we don't know where the terrorists are because they're still holding on to all the cities that we drop bombs on. So it's not really going to help you. It's going to kill you. But hey, I mean, would you rather die, in 1,000 little ways or with me just carpet bombing you?
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather not die.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got Cruz, which I'm going to turn to in 1 second. But before we turn from Carson, I want to remind you, this is the really Christian candidate. This is the guy who lives his life based on his love of Jesus and his reading of the Bible. So which book was it where Jesus was like, fuck them, blow them all to hell?
Yeah.
Has he ever seen the New Testament? The idea that thou shalt not kill, unless you kind of need to, and it's a lot of people, and they're a different race than you. Then you can kill them.
Now, to be fair to Dr. Carson, John, I do remember in the Bible it says, if you get hit on one cheek, turn the other cheek and start carpet bombing.
Yes.
Okay, just to be fair.
If you get slapped on one cheek,
Ezekiel, right?
Yeah, go slap every family member he has, particularly the grandmommies. Anyway, they also had some support from Cruz, who again agrees. He's going to go beyond it because Trump was talking about specifically targeting the families, which is horrendous. Carson and Cruz seem to agree that we need to wipe out the cities, even though they're not man enough to actually say it, really. But here you're going to see Cruz.
You have said you would, quote, carpet bomb ISIS into oblivion, testing whether, quote, sand can glow in the dark. Does that mean leveling the ISIS capital of Raqqa in Syria, where there are hundreds of thousands of civilians?
What it means is using overwhelming air power to utterly and completely destroy ISIS. To put things in perspective, in the first Persian Gulf War, we launched roughly 1,100 air attacks a day. We carpet bombed them for 37 days, saturation bombing, after which our troops went in and in a day and a half mopped up what was left of the Iraqi army. Right now, Obama is launching between 15 and 30 air attacks a day. It is photo op foreign policy.
To be clear, Senator Cruz, would you carpet bomb Raqqa, the ISIS capital, where there are a lot of civilians? Yes or no?
You would carpet bomb where ISIS is, not a city, but the location of the troops. You use air power directed, and you have embedded special forces to direct the air power. But the object isn't to level a city. The object is to kill the ISIS terrorists.
Okay, so,
That's so stupid.
Fred Kaplan at Slate did a wonderful job of breaking this down. He said, what do you think they're doing? They got a campfire out there in the middle of the desert somewhere like, hey, this is where our troops are. You come on and bomb us. If we knew the coordinates of where their troops are, we would have already bombed them. In fact, we dropped 9,000 bombs on them. It's not like we're not trying. So, no. When you say carpet bombing, that doesn't mean bomb their military. That's specific bombing. When you say carpet bombing, it means indiscriminate bombing.
Yes.
And ISIS, as Kaplan points out, and he's been a foreign policy expert for a long, long time in the media. We used to have him on the Young Turks all the time as an expert. And he says ISIS does live in the cities. They operate in the cities. Now, you could blame them for that, but if you're going to hit them, you're going to, and especially if you're going to do carpet bombing, yes, you would be killing a ton of civilians. And what does that mean? Nonsense words like, I will utterly destroy them. That's what carpet bombing means. No, that doesn't mean that at all.
That's not what it means.
Okay, and he used the example of Baghdad and the bombs that we dropped on Baghdad. I read a different account from one of the generals who was there, and he said, they don't know what the word carpet bombing means.
They don't.
That is not what we did in Baghdad. We hit very specific military targets. The reason we were able to take it down in a day and a half or so afterwards was because we had already knocked out all their defenses.
Yes.
And we had targeted their military installations and the resources that backed up the military. We didn't drop random bombs on civilians that wouldn't have helped our cause in taking Baghdad. So Ted Cruz doesn't know a thing about the military. He's just a blowhard who just comes in and says, I'm going to be tough. I'm going to utterly destroy them. I'm going to carpet bomb them. He's a child. And of course, since he's trying to appeal to other children, they're like, yay, I want school lunches for free and trips to Hawaii at every break. Right? That's not how it works, you child.
The funny thing is that when he came into the Senate, was supposed to be one of the new intellectuals. He was one of the smart
intellectual
ones. So Iraq, one of the most famous things about the Iraq conflict was it was the first large-scale American military conflict with the introduction of guided munitions. That we were able to, look, they sucked. They were terrible, and they had lots of mistakes, but the whole point was that we were trying not to destroy as many civilian buildings as possible, but he doesn't know that. He says you don't kill them in the cities, you kill them where they are. So does he not know that they're in the cities? Or is he just not willing to say that he'll carpet bomb cities? He should know, by the way, that they're in Raqqa, since it was posed to him as a question twice in about 2 minutes. He doesn't seem to know it. And again, I'll carpet bomb them. Okay, so you're going to bomb the city? No, I mean guided. So does he not know what carpet bomb... Like, I honestly, at this point, don't know if he's just being stupid or if he's being evasive. Or if he's being stupid and evasive.
Nah, he's a smarmy politician. He knows. He knows that carpet bombing tests well with the barbarians that are Republican voters in primaries.
Yeah.
And so he says that, and he says, I'll make the sand glow at night. We turn it into glass.
Which is a joke about nuking the Middle East, by the way.
Yeah, and then killing hundreds of thousands of civilians. And he smirks while Wolf was reading that quote. And there's laughter in the crowd like, yeah, let's kill him. So if Cruz, would he do it? Yeah, he probably would. Is he that barbaric? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Why is he doing it? Does he not know that ISIS is inside civilian centers? No, he knows that. He's not that dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, he just says it because he knows the people I'm trying to appeal to are some of the worst people on earth. And I think if I say this, I'll get to win their votes. And then if I have to, I'll do it. Who cares? I'm a slimy politician.
Yeah, and again, as I did with Ben Carson, I have to remind you, Ted Cruz, one of the most religious people on the stage, driven by his faith, raised by his father, Rafael Cruz, to believe that he's the chosen one, some sort of acolyte of God. And yet, for some reason, his constant reading of the Bible hasn't stopped him from wanting to kill thousands or hundreds of thousands of civilians. Perhaps it contributed in some way.
Well, it's not that surprising because, like the fundamentalist Muslims, these fundamentalist Christians believe in killing civilians. They don't have any problem with it at all. They just said it.
They just said it.
We'll kill their families and we'll carpet bomb their cities. This is the kind of insane crap that Ann Coulter used to say to be so over the top to garner attention, right? Now it's become mainstream and gets wild applause in a Republican debate. So understand who you are. You're in league with the terrorists. That's what terrorists do. Terrorists say we will kill their families and we will bomb them indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Republicans agree.
Yeah, they're openly saying we will commit war crimes, crimes that if any other country committed, we would want to nuke them into oblivion. And yet the day after the debate, or you've seen it on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, none of them are bringing it up. You can just spout off, I will openly commit war crimes on a massive scale, and the media doesn't care. Oh, Trump's got a rally in Mesa, Arizona. Let's cover that for a couple hours.
All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk and Iadarola with you guys. A couple of quick tweets for you. Max Richards says, guns don't kill people. Guns are fired and then people coincidentally die. Paul Charles says, my sister-in-law took her concealed handgun course through a church. Hashtag Texas problems.
Wow, okay. At least she took a course.
Yeah. Well,
Something.
This pastor was taking a course when he was shot by the instructor. Shit Physicist, which is a great Twitter handle, says, when I got my hunter safety card, the guy running the safety portion fired a rifle through the roof. Hashtag safe. Okay, that's funny.
Jeez.
Corby says, fuck the Second Amendment. I live in England. Nobody has guns here, and nobody really cares. It's just logic. Okay. They're not playing here in the comment section.
Can I just make a quick comment about that?
No, moving on.
No.
Okay,
So yesterday during the debate, which, by the way, best thing in the world is to listen to the debate after a long day of work as you're sitting in traffic. It's like you're already frustrated, and then you listen to some of these answers, and you're like, ah. Anyway, when Cruz was talking about, what are we going to do to keep our children safe? I tweeted something about that, and I responded by, you just vote to make sure that people on the terrorist watch list obtain guns.
Ooh,
right?
Snap.
And people kept responding to me, due process, Anna, due process. No, I get it. But none of you guys are upset about due process when the government's spying on you. No one's upset about American citizens being murdered abroad with no due process. But you're mad when someone might take a terrorist gun away or an alleged terrorist gun away.
So when we arrest people, we are supposed to read them their rights. Mm-hmm. And when we do, Republicans get mad. They're like, why do you care about due process?
It's amazing. No. You only care about due process when it's convenient for you. I care about due process in all situations, except for a situation where you give someone who might be a terrorist the ability to carry a handgun.
The Republicans love to brag about how they're going to fire all the lawyers if they get elected. Well, okay, the lawyers are the ones that give you due process, like, for example, if you're on a terrorist watch list. Isn't it? I mean, they can't see straight, man. You've got Republicans defending giving weapons to people on a terrorist watch list,
while simultaneously, spouting tough guy talk about how they're going to go after terrorists. I mean, come on. They're so disingenuous.
Come on, okay? So, by the way, speaking of debates, Saturday night, probably around midnight, we're having the next Democratic debate. Maybe at 3 a.m, so make sure no one watches.
Oh my God, I thought you were serious about the midnight thing. I was about to panic.
No, it's
because it's not. But it's not that far fetched with Democrats,
I know, right?
They'll probably do it 9 p.m. Pacific time.
I know, right? Okay, no. So we're covering it live here. It's going to be on our website and it's going to be on YouTube this time. So, but as always, you can almost always. You always going forward. You can always catch it on TYT Network. .com/live, tytnetwork.com/live. So we're going to start 15 minutes before the debate. So that's 7:45 p.m. Eastern. 7:45 p.m. Eastern. And we have an extra surprise for you guys that night.
Oh.
So look, it's a Democratic debate, so come and watch it with us. I know it's a Saturday night, but at least you're traveling, you got your mobile phone, you can still watch it. Go through the TYT app. You can always get us when we're live, okay? And Jimmy's going to be with us, Anna, myself. And then, like I said, I think you guys are going to love the surprise.
I don't even know what the surprise is.
See, it's going to be a surprise to you, too.
No. You got to tell me it during the break.
No.
That's some BS right there.
TYTnetwork.com/live, 7:45 p.m. Saturday night. Feel the burn. Okay, let's go forward.
All right. Ethan Couch, the boy who used Affluenza as a defense to not get any jail time after he killed 4 people from driving drunk, is now dealing with a warrant out for his arrest because he has not followed the rules of probation. Now, he never got any jail time for what he did, but he did get 10 years of probation, and part of the deal is that he needs to report to his probation officer. Well, it turns out that his probation officer hasn't been able to get a hold of him or his mother, so as a result, there is a warrant out for his arrest. A Dallas area judge issued a warrant for Couch's arrest after his probation officer was unable to reach him or his mother. Couch, who is 19, is 2 years into his 10 years probation. He received that as a result of the accident.
So remember, he killed 4 people in the accident, severely injured 2 others. His blood alcohol level was insane. It was,
I think, double.
I thought it might have been near quadruple
really? It was high.
The actual legal limit. So, but don't quote me on that because I don't have it in front of me, but it was enormously high and clearly illegal. He'd already stolen the beer in the first place. He was underage. I mean, it goes on and on. And the defense said, well, I was too rich to know the consequences. Well, if you accept that defense, what do you think is going to happen next? He's going to keep violating the law and say, well, the judge told me that I was too rich to know consequences, so I'm doing it again. I'm too rich to know the consequences. I never got cured from my affluenza.
It's an ongoing theme with a number of headline stories that we've talked about, right? With George Zimmerman, he's emboldened by the fact that he keeps dodging any consequences for any of his actions. So he keeps going out there and causing trouble, okay? At the same time, you have this kid, Ethan Couch, who uses the ridiculous defense of affluenza and dodges any real consequences. Remember, he had to go to like a rehab type situation, but his parents got to decide which rehab that their kid got to go to. And so, of course, they're wealthy and they're choosing some bougie place to send him to, and then he gets 10 years of probation. There needs to be real consequences, especially when you steal liquor from a Walmart, get behind the wheel when you're not supposed to have anyone in the car or even be behind the wheel, and then you kill 4 people on the side of the road and severely paralyze one of your friends. I mean, it's incredible that this kid keeps getting in trouble and no consequences. By the way, authorities are investigating a Snapchat video of him playing beer pong.
So that's what started all his troubles this time around. So whether it's actually him in the video is not perfectly clear, but that might be why he's on the run. So it's not the guy crashing the table. It's the guy that is on the side.
Yeah, he's standing and watching right there. You see him.
Barely, right?
Yeah.
So now, if he wasn't in the video, I don't know why he's on the run. Or maybe he's not on the run. He's just, in the Bahamas. And they're just rich. And they're like, oh, I do declare, I didn't know we had to follow probation like regular people. We were in, Saint-Tropez or wherever they go.
Well, here's one thing that seems to be clear. The defense was that he has affluenza, that his parents, spoiled him so much that he had a hard time learning the differences between right or wrong. Seems like his mom is enabling him in this case as well. So maybe it was a fair defense. I don't know.
If you violate probation, there's been a lot of press about this story, right? You could go to jail for a long time. And if you're a rich white person, you don't want to go to jail for a long time. So, and you have plenty of money, you can go live somewhere else. Is it possible that he just ran and he's like, well, I'll just live in the Bahamas from now on? I mean, we have extradition treaties with many, many countries in the world. It would be a ridiculous thing if he did do that. Since he's got obviously very good lawyers, I'm sure he could beat it again. But we don't know. It's just 2 days. He could pop out of the woodworks and say that he was, on the Appalachian Trail. It's not like other people haven't done that before.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. But right now, he could be in a world of trouble.
I love the Appalachian Trail reference.
It's one of my favorite predictions of all time. When Mark Sanford, when he was the governor of South Carolina at the time, said, they couldn't get in touch with him. He was in the wind like this kid. And they put out a note that he was on the Appalachian Trail. And I said, bullshit. He is not on the Appalachian Trail. That is a complete lie. And at the time, there was the conservative haters of me were like, you don't know that. What kind of a reporter are you? You can't do that. And then the next day, they're like, yeah, I was just kidding. I was with my lover in Argentina.
Yeah. They sounded just like that, too. Crazy. All right, moving on. Authorities who investigated a police shooting have claimed that the shooting was not intentional, it was accidental, so as a result, the police officer will not face any charges. Now, this story centers around a police officer by the name of Patrick Feaster, and the dashcam video shows him getting into a high-speed pursuit with an alleged drunk driver. Now, as the car is speeding through the street, at one point, it hits a center divider and flips over. As it flips over, the passenger in the car, the driver's wife, is ejected from the vehicle, and unfortunately, she doesn't survive the accident. However, as the driver gets out of the car, the police officer shoots him almost immediately, and we have the video to show you in just a second. Now, the district attorney who looked into this case says that the shooting is not justified, but also not criminal. Now, with that said, I want to show you this graphic and difficult to watch video. Take a look at that if you can stomach it, and I'll give you more details.
Paul 20, Longview, rollover TC, Pearson, just east of Black Olive.
Copy, rollover TC, east of Black Olive.
It's incredible. They said that shooting was an accident. Okay, they looked into it and they said, no, it's an accident. So this officer right now is on administrative leave, but of course he's getting paid, right? Now, let's go to graphic number 5. Ramsey said Feaster drew his gun when Thomas popped out of the car, believing he would flee. As Officer Feaster moved toward Thomas, the gun discharged and struck Thomas in the neck. The shot hit Thomas in the C7 and T1 vertebrae and could lead to him being paralyzed for life. Feaster notified his commanding officer about the discharge only after Thomas's gunshot wound was found. Keep in mind that it took 11 minutes before he admitted to shooting this guy in the neck. As the commanding officer suggested, an investigator returned to the bar that this guy was at to try to find out if Thomas had been shot at the bar. Feaster finally revealed that he may have shot Thomas, okay? Now, Mike Ramsey says the following, and this is the part that enrages me the most, okay? Again, this is the district attorney. He says, the dashcam video shows Officer Feaster was not prepared for and was surprised by the gun's firing. Oh, he looks so surprised. The pistol discharges in mid-stride, and the officer both flinches his head to the right and does a stutter step indicative of what an officer not prepared for nor intentionally firing his pistol. Additionally, officers normally train to fire a minimum of 2 shots. So he's saying this was clearly an accident.
Right. So look, we just saw the video, and I had read all these statements before I watched the video, and I thought that there would be a moment based on this description where the cop goes like, "Oh no," and then puts the gun in.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't in the video. The video just walks up, shoots him, and then puts his gun away and then goes to find him. Now, look, I'm not dismissing that it could have been an accident. I believe that there's a very good chance it could have been an accident. But that's why you shouldn't draw your gun immediately. And that's the problem with the training. It's like your life's in danger, life's in danger. Look, the guy's drunk. You have no reason to believe he had a weapon. Why do you take out your gun? Why do you point it at the guy? Guns go off. Don't point it at people all the time. If you point it at people all the time, sometimes you will shoot and gravely harm them. He's likely paralyzed for the rest of his life. Now, look, the guy shouldn't have any sympathy at all. His wife is dead. It appears clearly drinking and driving. Mm-hmm. His blood alcohol level was a 0.15, I believe, nearly twice the legal limit in most states. So I don't want to have sympathy for that guy. He was an idiot, and I'm glad he was chasing him. I wish he'd gotten him before the accident. Mm-hmm. He was doing everything right, but don't take out the gun every time. I don't know if he meant to kill the guy, but look, if I'm a prosecutor, I know. Prosecutors like, cops, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. What do I need to pretend happened in the video so I can say not guilty? Not even not guilty, I'm not even going to try him, right? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that wasn't at least negligent? That we're not having a conversation about negligent homicide? That's exactly what he should have done? Like in a drunk driving accident, a car accident, that cops should take out their guns and point it at people's head?
No, just think about this for a second, though, Cenk. The car flipped. One person was ejected from the car and died on the scene, okay? When that happens, usually the driver is not going to come out and be an immediate threat to you. They're probably kind of out of it. The car just flipped over. It's actually kind of miraculous that he survived. So the whole fact that the cop felt the need to draw the gun in the first place is questionable. But he didn't even wait 2 seconds before shooting it. That's why I don't buy for a second that it was an accident. He had the gun out. He shot immediately. He doesn't flinch. We all saw the same video. Can we just watch it one more time?
Yeah, I got to see if he really took a step back and all the things that were put into this video that don't appear to be there. All right, now he's going to get out of the car. Let's see if there is a noticeable, like, taking a step backward, the flinching, yada, yada.
Not buying it for a second. All of these district attorneys and all these authorities are in cahoots with these police officers. And that's why these stories keep popping up over and over again. That's why there's never any justice. And for anyone who watches that video and genuinely thinks that that was an accidental shooting, you're an idiot. Okay?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No,
I really wouldn't.
It's not an accidental shooting, Cenk. Look at him. He didn't flinch.
He paused for a second. But look, I don't care about the pause. I don't care about that. Look, even if it was an accident, don't take the gun out and point it at the guy. Why? I don't know why he'd want to shoot that guy. I don't get why he did what he did. But here's something super obvious. Stop training them to take out their guns and point it at people's heads at every instance. There's a car accident. Don't point the gun at a guy's head in a car accident, right? But no, don't be safe, be safe, be safe, be safe. Shoot, 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 shoot. Oh, it was an accident, right? Even if it was an accident, at a minimum, negligence, and it's a negligence that could have cost that guy his life. Roles are reversed. If it's a cop who got shot because the guy, I took out the gun.
I didn't mean to shoot him.
I took out the gun and pointed at the cop's head. I didn't mean to shoot him. It was an accident. You don't think he gets charged? Everybody in the country knows he gets charged. So, but if you're a cop, it's different rules.
I feel like the proper response from a human being who doesn't lack empathy or understanding is to check and see if this stupid person who was behind the wheel and shouldn't have been behind the wheel is okay. But that wasn't his initial response. His initial
I got to protect myself. I can't take any chances. I can't take any chances.
I got to protect myself from someone who's likely disoriented or severely injured from this car crash. That's what I got to do, protect myself.
You remember there was the other guy who was in a car crash. He wasn't drunk at all. He was asking the cops for help. That was a worse situation because he was black. So in this case, I believe that there is a chance that it was an accident. In that case, they're like, well, I can't take any chances. He's black. So they mowed him down in the street. So, look, this is the problem with you can't take any chances philosophy. You know what it reminds me of? The 1% doctrine. That was Dick Cheney's doctrine. Ron Suskind wrote a great book about it. Dick Cheney was mental and wanted to invade Iraq, even though they didn't do 9/11, and he knew they didn't do 9/11. He wanted to do all these things. He wanted to attack more Middle Eastern countries, just in case there was a 1% chance that they might at some later point attack us. Mm-hmm. So, and that is what's happening with the cops. Just in case there's a 1% chance that you might be harmed in any way, take out your gun and point it at people's heads. And if they're black, shoot. If they're white, maybe it's an accident, but point it at their heads anyway.
So devastating. All right. A Saudi millionaire businessman has been accused of raping an 18-year-old woman who was staying at his home in London. However, he says that the rape was accidental. And
that often happens, but it gets better.
No. And the defense worked. Okay. Oh. After only 30 minutes of deliberations, the jury let him off. Let me give you the details. Now, the man in question is Ishan Abdulaziz. He's 46 years old and was initially accused of forcing himself on the 18-year-old as she slept on a couch at his London flat after a night of drinking. The Saudi property developer said he had already had sex with the young woman's 24-year-old friend, and it was possible he may have been exposed out of his underwear when he tripped.
No.
He literally said he tripped and fell into her. Like, that's so crazy, and I can't believe it worked.
Let me read you the first line of this article. A millionaire businessman has been found not guilty of rape after claiming he accidentally penetrated her when he tripped and fell. And that defense worked. Look, I'm relieved to find out it's not just a U.S. problem. It's all over the world. Rich people, and it doesn't matter in this case, white, black, in this case, Arab, it doesn't matter. OJ was rich and got away with it. Mm-hmm. The kid with affluenza in this country who said, I'm too rich to know consequences, got away with it. Here's an Arab guy in the UK. I'm rich. Oops, I tripped and penetrated her with my penis. He got away with it. That's unbelievable.
No. So some people might argue, well, who knows? Maybe this woman was looking to get paid. You know, he is a really wealthy businessman, a developer. They found his DNA on her, which means they found his semen on her, okay? And he had an answer for that. Abdulaziz.
This is going to be a good one.
Abdulaziz said he had accidentally fallen on the teenager and that she tried to seduce him.
Of course.
And that was how his DNA got on her. In fact, he even said, I'm fragile. I fell down, but nothing ever happened between me and this girl. Nothing ever happened.
I'm fragile. I'm fragile. Oh, how did this work? How did this defense work? Okay, so let's get this story right. First of all, he says, I already had sex with her friend. I'm walking around with possibly my erect penis out of my underwear. Mm-hmm. Well, is it possible? What does that mean, possibly? Was your erect penis out of your underwear, or was it not? What does that mean, possibly? Mm-hmm. And you penetrated her, so I'm pretty sure it was out, mm-hmm. right? And he's saying that, I've got the semen on my hands already. I'm walking around, and I'm so fragile, and I fall with my erect penis right into her, right? And then I touch her with this, and then she was trying to seduce me. Wait, I thought you fell into her. What do you mean she was trying to seduce you?
His story is so contradictory, and,
No, I'm sorry. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard in my life. Like, first of all, you know something's a lie when they come up with two different excuses.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Right? So that's a classic telltale sign of a liar. It's like, I tripped into her, plus she was trying to seduce me.
So a lot of people, whenever these stories come up, and whenever we talk about Bill Cosby, for instance, a lot of people will start victim blaming, and they'll say things like, why didn't she come out and talk about what happened to her when it happened? This is why women don't come forward, okay? They don't come forward because in a lot of cases, justice is not served. In a lot of cases, the woman's the one who gets demonized. Look at this. I mean, you want to fight back against someone who is powerful, someone who's wealthy, someone who's in a much higher socioeconomic status as you, you're going to get screwed. The jury deliberated for 30 minutes. That's it.
30 minutes. And they were like, obviously he tripped and fell into her. Obviously. Okay. Look, so my guess as to what happened, and by the way, to buttress Anna's point, especially if you're accusing someone rich and powerful,
yeah,
they're going to do what this guy did. And my guess as to what happened here, I wasn't on the jury, obviously, is that he hired an incredibly good defense team that introduced 1,000 different doubts into the jury's head. And then what they probably did was blame the victims. They said, why is this 24 and 18-year-old? Here, watch, I'll do it. I'll introduce doubt into your head. Watch. I used to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Why is this 24 and 18-year-old girl's clubbing with a 46-year-old Arab millionaire? Why did they go to his house with him? Why are they asleep on his couch? Wouldn't they be interested in this millionaire's money? Why are they on the couch? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, did they want to have sex with him? Maybe they wanted to have sex with him. Even though she reported it right away, never said she wanted to have sex with him. She was asleep on his couch, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. But what did you do? You introduced doubt because you had really good lawyers.
Yeah.
And that's how you get away with it. Now, if you don't have really good lawyers and you got a public defender, and God bless the public defenders, but they're really, really busy. There's a ton of cases, and they're heavily incentivized here in the U.S. to settle cases.
And underpaid, by the
way.
Right,
and to plead guilty. Mm-hmm. And if you go to trial, and he's like, he tripped and fell into her, and that's all he does, mm-hmm. and he's got to go, you're not going to get away with it, okay? And which you shouldn't. But if you're rich, you hire a squadron of lawyers, and off you go with the worst possible defense I've ever seen. The flip side is the defense here in the U.S. for the kid was, even though he killed 4 people in a drunk driving accident, was affluenza. I'm so rich, I don't know consequences of my actions. That worked. Anything will work if you have enough money.
That's right.
Oh, God, that's so frustrating. So frustrating for all the rest of us. There's just no justice.
If you're a young woman, just don't betray those in power. I mean, not betray, but don't befriend those in power, because you never know how they'll take advantage of you, and then apparently there's no way for you to get justice.
No, I mean, look, that's so sad that that's a lesson that people get out of it, right? Because, I mean, look, what if somebody's actually trying to mentor you? What if they're actually a decent human being, right? But there's predators out there, and look, I don't know why they're partying with this guy, but they get to party with whoever the fuck they want. It doesn't mean they get to be raped, right?
I agree.
And so it's maddening. It's fucking maddening.